Story 1. My cat considers bathroom use a team sport, and I don't like being watched while I use the restroom. He still ends up in there most of the time. Story 2. I live by myself in my parents' old house. I have both entrances locked and bolted. All the windows are shut and the blinds are drawn. The bathroom door is wide open. Story 3. Dogs and cats apparently decided that I should not be alone at any time, especially when using the toilet. Story 4. Close it, lock it, and still be paranoid about what if someone breaks into the apartment? What if there's an evil spirit that decided to harm me with my own razor? Story 5. No, I don't even close it when I'm not home alone, but no one ever comes into my bedroom, even with the bedroom door open. My bedroom has a small hallway leading to it, so there's no reason for anyone to enter. The bathroom in my bedroom is very private. The only one who comes in is my dog. Story 6. Habit, I suppose. It's amusing when you read a question like this and think to yourself, I live alone. Why do I close the bathroom door? Story 7. Mainly, I always close the door out of pure muscle memory, but also to keep the cat out. Similarly, I always close the lid on the toilet because my spouse asked me to. Story 8. I cannot because my cat will claw at it until I let her in. She is always afraid she will miss something. Story 9. Actually, yes. I also close the bedroom door when I go to bed. I have never thought about it, honestly. Story 10. No, my toilet resembles a small walkable closet rather than an actual room. My waste tends to have a strong odor, and although I acknowledge that I have some unconventional interests, I am not inclined to expose myself to such unpleasantness. Story 11. I live alone and do not close the bathroom door unless I have company over because that is where the litter box is. If she has to go to the bathroom at the same time I do not want to risk her choosing the floor instead. She can be a spiteful pooper at times. Story 12. When I'm using the toilet, no. When I'm in the shower or bath, yes. The steam sets off the smoke alarm that the landlord conveniently placed next to the bathroom door. Story 13. I am not allowed. This is my cat's house. She graciously lets me pay for it and live here, but she draws the line at me going to the bathroom alone. Story 14. I'm outside with my dogs every time they go to the bathroom, so they've decided that my time in the bathroom is also a team activity. My golden retriever used to get anxious if I closed the bathroom door while no one else was home, so I no longer do that. Story 15. No, not at all. I don't even close up when she is home. And when she criticizes me, I call her inappropriate for looking. Story 16. No, I have cats who would get annoyed by that choice. I will close the door most of the way, but they will start scratching at it if they cannot poke their heads in to check on me. Story 17. Cats will jump on my shoulders, climb on my head, and even try to climb inside the toilet. Sometimes I just don't feel like dealing with that. Story 18. Since getting a cat, I have started breaking that habit. I do not need my cat announcing to the entire floor that I am in the bathroom and will not let her in. Story 19. Yes, because most of the time it doesn't matter, but the few times that it has, I really wished I had closed the door. Story 20. I just realized I always close the door when I am alone at my parents' house where I grew up. When I am alone in my apartment, I close it while showering or using the restroom, but not when urinating. I have no reasoning. It's just what happens. Story 21. I don't want a cat in my pants while sitting on the toilet. I also prefer not to urinate on a curious cat's head. Additionally, ghosts cannot watch you if you lock the door. Story 22. Door always closed when I am in the bathroom. If I have my phone, then I lock it. If not, then it's just latched. Story 23. Whenever my neighbors open their doors or walk around, it sounds like they are directly in my unit. Story 24. No, my cat would be very angry if I closed the door. He is a Velcro cat and requires that I hold him while sitting on the toilet. Story 25. No, not for showers, urination, or defecation. I don't care if I'm alone. I have unusual tendencies that have become habits because I was in a house fire. I keep shoes behind my door, along with pants and a jacket on a hook. I also keep shoes by my bed in case I need to leave in a hurry. Story 26. I first did this when I moved in because my apartment is surrounded by other apartments, and people can see me sitting on the toilet. I have thick curtains now. Also, my cat's litter box is in the bathroom. Story 27. Yes. Otherwise, I have many animals, and cats seem to think going to the toilet is a team sport. Story 28. Half yes, half no. It depends on whether I feel like having a dog and a cat watching me. Can be intimidating. Story 29. Nope, the dogs wouldn't let me. One, in particular, has chronic separation anxiety. They don't always follow me inside, but I can't fully close the door, so I keep it slightly ajar. As a note, she is a rescue and has improved significantly since she first arrived. That took a lot of effort for a while. Story 30. At least two of the cats need to come in with me. If I shut the door, I am subjected to pitiful howls, scratching, and increasingly louder meows, so I just leave it open. Story 31. I close the bathroom door when I sleep because the bathroom receives morning sunlight, which wakes me up earlier than I want. Story 32. I don't keep my bathroom door closed, even with my roommate or guests. I have an ensuite and the door is positioned so that when you look into my bedroom, you can't see the bathroom. I leave my bathroom door open because it's really small, and I also can't close my door during showers. If it gets too hot in there, I risk passing out. Story 33. In my small apartment, I have to walk from my private space through the public laundry room to reach my bathroom. If I am in there making noise, there's a chance that one of my neighbors could walk by with a hamper of dirty clothes and see me in a compromising situation. So no. Story 34. Nope, usually it's open. If it's going to be a strong odor, I close the door and turn on the fan to keep the hallway from smelling unpleasant. My wife and I have our own bathrooms on opposite sides of the house, which also helps. Story 35. If I'm using the bathroom, the door is open. If I'm having a bowel movement, the door is closed. My apartment is small, so I don't want the odor from the bathroom to enter the kitchen. Story 36. Upstairs toilet, 3 adults in my house. In the winter, the door is shut to stop a draft from the vent, so they shut the door while I leave it open. In the summer, the door is propped open to help with the cross breeze, and no one closes it. The downstairs toilet usage depends on who is using it. My husband always shuts the door, I leave it half open, and my mother-in-law either leaves it slightly open or closes it. I feel too hot and stuffy with the door closed. The lack of airflow makes me sweat, and then it becomes difficult to get my pants back on. Story 37. You never know when someone is going to come home. You may think you're alone, but surprise, you aren't. It's better to be safe than sorry. Story 38. What if someone breaks in while I am inside or the police kick my door down? I feel more comfortable knowing I have 2 closed doors separating me from the outside world. Story 39. Yes, I am afraid that will become my default, and I will do it when visitors are over or when I go to someone else's house. Story 40. Depends. Shower, bath, or using the bathroom for a long time. Yes, but leave it slightly open for my cat to enter because he doesn't like to be alone. Quick trip to the bathroom. No. Story 41. If I am home alone, the door stays open. In our bathroom, the toilet is near the door, so if my husband comes home, I can just knock the door with my foot to close it. Simple. Story 42. Always close. It makes me feel much safer. Additionally, it reduces the number of emotional support cats that accompany me. Story 43. I definitely don't close the bathroom door. There's no one there to walk in on me, and it feels more relaxed leaving it open. However, I feel like people are either fine with it or they still shut the door out of habit. Story 44. Because if I don't, my dog sits outside the door and makes very awkward eye contact. It's like something out of a horror movie. So I sit in peace. Story 45. No, never. There is no reason to close it. I am alone with my imaginary friends who have already seen me at my worst. Story 46. I close the door because there is something comforting about creating a small, defined space just for yourself. It is the closest thing to a pause button life has. Story 47. Dogs and cats. You are never alone when you have free-roaming pets. I usually see kitty paws under the door and find the puppy sprawled right there with the cats. If the German Shepherd is inside, he decides to be a lapdog as soon as I sit down. Story 48. Yes, because I don't know if someone is going to come home while I am sitting. No one wants to see that, especially a loved one. Story 49. It depends on how urgent the situation is. I often find myself racing to the restroom just before I get home from work, barely making it inside. However, on weekends, I take my time without any rush. Story 50. I never close it because I have a second floor and I just close the room from inside. Otherwise, the bathroom becomes a mess in 2 minutes. Story 51. I have dogs and parrots, one of which finds watching the flush to be very exciting. That door is closed. Story 52. Nope. Dogs whine and cats paw constantly under the door. With it open, they at least all come and lie down quietly, forming a protective circle around me. Story 53. I forgot to close the bathroom door after I finished using it, and I got yelled at by my mom for it. Story 54. I live in a small studio in a student residence. When I shower, my front door is closed, so there is no need to close the bathroom door. Story 55. I live alone. On the rare occasions I have guests, my bedroom door is closed, so there is no need to close the bathroom door. Story 56. I rarely close it when I'm not alone, so not really. I feel kind of trapped if it is closed, honestly. If needed, I will close the bedroom door but not the bathroom door. Story 57. Yes, but only because my dogs will invade my personal space if I don't. Before I had dogs, I would leave the door open when I was alone. Story 58. Yes, I know how thin my walls are in the next room, and there's no reason for my neighbors to hear me. Story 59. Because I might suddenly not be home alone and I can't reach the door to close it from the bathroom. Story 60. Yes, because what if my family comes home while I'm in the restroom? Also, I don't want my cats trying to drink from the toilet bowl before I can close the lid and flush. This happened before. Story 61. Yes, I listen to horror podcasts and like to psych myself into thinking that the person from the podcast is going to get me next. Story 62. I have a bathroom in my bedroom. If I use the bathroom, it will make my bedroom smell. Additionally, what if a ghost walks by? That would be awkward. I would dislike having a paranormal experience while I'm otherwise occupied. Story 63. Yes. Someone might come home while I'm scrambling to close the door. It contains the smell in one room, and it's also a force of habit. Story 64. Yes, because I tend to live with others, there is always the potential of them coming home while I'm on the toilet or in the shower. So, if I'm in the bathroom, the door is shut. Story 65. I never go to the bathroom alone. My kids always show interest in me when I go. It's just easier not to argue over the locked door and to keep it open. Story 66. No. As long as the main door is locked and the window blinds are down, I can walk around the house naked. Story 67. No, I never close it. I don't close it when my husband is here either, unless I am using the restroom or showering. Story 68. I only leave it open after showers so the misty air can circulate. Aside from that, I do not think about it. Story 69. No, I rarely close it when there are people in the house unless I know I have gas or need to use the restroom. Then, for their sake, I create a sound barrier. Story 70. Not all the way or even at all. Why? I have 2 dogs. One will beat down the door with her head, and the other will bark. So I leave it open, and they come by to check on me or bring a toy I can throw while I sit. I used to dislike it, but I understand that I am their mom, and closing the door is not an option for them. Now, if my husband or son is home, I shut it. Story 71. Nope. If it's just my partner, I don't mind unless I'm using the restroom. Why? We have a cat who gets concerned whenever the door is shut. Story 72. I do not live alone. Even when I am at home by myself, it is a temporary situation that I cannot control or foresee. Story 73. It depends on whether I want to keep the humidity from my shower in the bathroom. It is easier to shave saturated hair than dry hair. Story 74. I don't. With pets and children, I learned that potty time was a speed sport. As soon as the door clicked, there would be calls for mommy or scratching at the door, even when they were adults visiting. Now, when I'm all alone and it's peaceful, I don't bother closing the door because it brings back all the mommy voices as soon as I sit down. Yes, I miss the annoying, curious kids. Story 75. I live in a shared house, but when I am confident no one will be in for a while, I keep the door open just for the thrill. Story 76. In case someone breaks in, they won't see me reaching for my bathroom gun. Don't confuse it with my shower gun. Story 77. Usually, it depends on several factors, but I don't leave it open in a rush. That is typically a conscious decision. Story 78. I live alone with no pets. The bathroom door and the front door to the hall of my building are close to each other, and I feel more comfortable with both closed while I take care of my business. Where I live is very populated and busy, and the bathroom might be the only spot without traffic noises, background voices, or music. Story 79. Yes, because my front door is directly across from my bathroom, and the one time I didn't close it, the delivery person looked directly through the frosted glass and saw me. Story 80. When I had the master bedroom with the master bathroom, I felt great. Now, I have to leave my room for the one in the hallway, which is inconvenient because my roommates usually walk in. Story 81. Yes, because the bathroom looks out to the front door, which is entirely made of glass. I will not make that mistake again. Story 82. It is a habit similar to not eating with your fingers even when alone so you do not forget in public. Story 83. I'm guessing you don't have Velcro dogs. No, I cannot do it without scratching and crying on the other side of the door. Story 84. I didn't realize the impact until my granddaughter moved in with us. Now I live in fear of frightening her, so I close and lock the door every time. Story 85. I didn't see the word bathroom, so in my head it was just, do you close the door when you're home alone? I mean, sometimes it's cold and I don't want bugs. Story 86. Not if I'm using the restroom or showering, but if I'm handling business, I ensure that the smell remains in that one room. Story 87. If there is a murderer in my house, then struggling to open the bathroom door is literally my only safeguard from being caught in the most vulnerable position possible. Story 88. I grew up with 3 older brothers who constantly barged in and bothered me. It just stuck somehow that I needed it closed and locked. Story 89. I do not. My dog is certain I require supervision in the bathroom. Feels like a group event. When we are at my parents' house and I close the door, he lays in front of it whining until I am done. There is no way I want to put either of us through that at home every day. Story 90. No, because it's my apartment and no one else is here. Sometimes I play something on the computer that I want to hear. When my girlfriend is here, I usually close it half the time to use the restroom or shower, but she still does it all the time. I will still close it to use the restroom. Story 91. My cat would jump into my lap at the worst possible moment, and the dog would wander in looking for his snack. Story 92. The only time I bother to close it is when I am using the bathroom. If I am in there for any other reason, I do not see the point. My wife feels the same way. Story 93. When I hear a noise, it disrupts my focus. My body reacts, and that signals the end of my moment of relaxation. If my cat or dog bothers me, it interrupts my process. If an intruder enters my home with harmful intentions, they will have to wait for me to finish. Story 94. I will definitely close the door if I think it is a potential issue. That helps contain the odor a bit. Story 95. I keep it open while I'm on the toilet because I like the freedom when I'm home alone. In the shower, I have it closed because my smoke alarm is right outside my bathroom door, so I always keep it closed or only open a tiny bit. Additionally, it makes the room warmer. Story 96. I live alone, but I always close the door. My parents and my grown son do not knock on the front door. They just let themselves in. That is just how we roll. Story 97. Upstairs restroom no, but downstairs restroom yes, as it looks straight out of the front door. Someone looking through the letterbox would lock eyes with me. Story 98. No, not just because I have a car, although that is part of it. I also have a cord near the door so it doesn't close all the way. Even before that, it didn't latch properly, and the cat could just push it open. Story 99. If I'm home alone, I don't shut the door. The dogs and cats like to be in there with me. If we're just using the restroom, we don't shut the door regardless. Story 100. Yes, to keep the smell contained in one room in case my roommate comes home unexpectedly or my landlord needs to enter suddenly. Story 101. Several responses indicate a preference to keep smells or steam from escaping into the house. I, on the other hand, prefer the opposite. My bathroom doors are always open, and when the temperature is above 60 degrees Fahrenheit, the windows are also open to keep the air in the bathroom fresh. Additionally, I have a cat who would become very agitated if she found the door closed with me inside. Story 102. Only if the window coverings are open for viewing in the opposite rooms. My place wasn't built with feng shui in mind. Story 103. I don't want the smell traveling through the house or anyone coming home to see it. I would also prefer not to have my cats as spectators when I'm trying to use the restroom. Story 104. No, because cats will throw their little bodies against it until I come out. I don't even close it all the way when my spouse is home. It's not worth the trauma. Story 105. My apartment door is made of plywood, and due to the building naturally settling, it closes strangely. The bottom part closes firmly, but the top does not. Pulling on it feels like I might break it in half. Story 106. I believe my dog has some form of separation anxiety because whenever I close a door in the house, he comes running and lays in front of the door until I open it, then greets me. Story 107. In some cases, this is true as it also serves as a form of internal security. Remember to lock your front doors. Story 108. When I am home alone, I use the bathroom with the door open. The bedroom windows are wide open, but due to the position of the toilet, there is no direct view to the neighbors. So, I feel free to relieve myself. Story 109. I bought a condo and didn't realize there was an extra closet in the bathroom because I don't close the door. I only found it when I had company and had to close the door. Story 110. I don't close it when I'm not home alone. Only if the kids are there. Otherwise, it's always open. Story 111. Yes, otherwise I would have 3 cats watching me. I also require complete silence and privacy to be able to do so. Story 112. You can see out the front door from the bathroom. I don't want to be in a vulnerable position in front of everyone. Story 113. Smells and toilet odors. Why would I be more okay with the scent of urine and feces entering my living room just because I'm alone? Story 114. My whole family growing up would never close the bathroom doors. I grew up to realize how strange that is. Story 115. I am using the bathroom while typing this. I live alone. It doesn't matter. I don't care if the dog watches me. Story 116. Only the one downstairs. The powder room is in the foyer facing the front door. If the door is left open while you are in there, a person could come in through the front door, and you would be instantly face to face. Story 117. Not while using the toilet because I don't need to. If I am showering, yes, keep the heat in until I am ready to release it. Story 118. I'm a family man and never close the door when I'm home alone. Having alone time is a luxury I rarely experience. So when it happens, I'm going to take advantage of it. Story 119. I rented an apartment attached to my living area, which is the main house. Apparently, the tenant's boyfriend had warrants. I was using the bathroom when a group of police officers stormed into my kitchen. There I sat, confused, embarrassed, and angry all at once. I always close my bathroom door now. Story 120. Yes, I feel exposed. I live with others, and it would be a bit embarrassing if I thought I was alone but was not. Story 121. I've reached the age where I'm having dad moments. When the air is warm and almost humid. I do it out of respect for now. Story 122. No, I don't even close it when I'm not alone. With 2 kids and 2 Labradors, going to the bathroom is a group effort. I hardly remember to close the door at work. Story 123. I made a design flaw in my house. You can see across the great room into the bathroom from my glass front door. Story 124, mostly no, but it depends on which bathroom. There is one with a small trash can, and I have some cats that like to dig in and knock it over. So usually when I use that bathroom, I close the door. Story 125. Honestly, my bathroom door is never closed when I'm alone. Not because nobody is watching, but because my cat won't let me use the toilet alone. Most of the time, she goes to her litter box when I go to the bathroom. Story 126. I feel better with it closed, even when alone. I don't know why, but it feels right to do so. Story 127. No, my cats need to supervise my bathroom usage, steal plastic or cotton swabs from the garbage can, or just hang out in the bathtub. Story 128. You never know when your significant other comes home early to surprise you with flowers, only to find you in the bathroom. Story 129. Sometimes I close it and other times I don't. The times I didn't were at night, and honestly, I was afraid. Story 130. Yes, I do. It's a mix of habit and feeling more comfortable. Even when I am alone, it feels like a bit of privacy. I also do not want to risk anyone walking in if I suddenly forget. Story 131. Oh, I'd love to, but the desperate cries of my cat on the other side of the door prevent me. Peace and privacy cannot be achieved while having pets. Story 132. Generally open, but my cat likes to sit on the tank and flop the lid onto my back. I put something there so she couldn't. Now she stands on the counter and headbutts me. Just let me use the bathroom, young lady. Story 133. I never shut the bathroom door, even when my wife is home. We have developed a habit of leaving it open. We both identify as women. We now have a 16-month-old toddler who insists on being in there with us. We will start shutting the door when he is older. However, we do close it when we have guests. If it's just the three of us, we leave it open. Story 134. My bathroom mirror gets steamed, and it takes a long time to clear up. When my roommates are gone, I can leave the doors open. Then I can shave as soon as I get out. Story 135. Toilet, no, only if I'm peeing. Showering, yes, because I won't hear when someone walks into the house, and I don't want them seeing me. Story 136. Yes, because my roommate or my child will come home as soon as I sit down. Every time. Story 137. It depends on whether it's number 1 or number 2. For urinating, there are no worries. For defecating, the door is closed every time. It's all about smell mitigation. I don't want my entire house to smell unpleasant every time I use the restroom. Story 138. Muscle memory. I either close the door when I am home alone or I leave it open when there are people over. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.